Hi, my name is Kawaii-Pigeon, and I just wanted to talk about the Weiss drama so far. And I don't know if drama is the right word for it, but he has been acting a fool. Now, who am I to talk about his behavior? I am just a casual viewer of the artist community. I am a hobbyist artist, I am a furry, and I am a POC Hispanic lady. So, what I have to say is not an authority to anybody. It is not something that you could put lots of stock into. It's just how, as a casual viewer, Weiss has come across to the average person watching commentary. Now, I don't have any stakes in this game. Full disclosure, I've never liked Weiss as a content creator or as somebody that I'd like to spend time listening to. His videos are something that I would watch just to get some context for things and then just kind of chew on and think about while I'm doing my art. The thing with him is that his behavior has been not the best. It's been something that you would think an adult would grow out of. I know that he really got his moment to shine with the Toby drama, but I was not watching him or the Toby drama itself at the time. I had other things going on. What I've seen from the Hopeless Peaches drama onward has been a massive decline and a show of hypocrisy with everything that he does. And it gets clearer and clearer over time that he is somebody who sets rules for thee but not for him, as many have pointed out. Now, with the Hopeless Peaches drama, he had some things to say about her, and everybody has seen the videos and how other YouTubers have talked about it better and in far more detail than I. But as a casual viewer, how did he come across? He came across as very disingenuous, and this isn't just seeing things in hindsight. When he was talking about her mental health or how she was tripping over JPEG when Omnia used her grooming video as a thumbnail, which really aged well. He was not as generous, he was not as sympathetic to somebody with mental health issues as he had claimed to be. And then when he himself expressed mental issues and mental health crisis problems, it's, as a casual viewer, you just don't really care. And it's very callous and very heartless to say that. But when you hear about a person who has been complaining and railing on somebody else's mental health, it is very hard to find any sympathy for them when they themselves begin to experience symptoms or begin to experience the hardships that come with depression or anxiety or just panicking or anything like that. It came off as him more shooting down and punching down at somebody, at Peaches specifically, and then it was not a good look. Expecting or wanting the same amount of sympathy is the right words for it, but it came across as him wanting sympathy. And it's very relatable and very human to just want a little bit of comfort when you're suffering from issues. Again, he came across as a hypocrite. He came across as somebody who only cared when it began to affect him, not when it began to affect other people, but when it hit him specifically. That is not something that you can just do. I know that people gain more sympathy when they begin to experience similar issues and then they can really empathize with someone, but it just was not a good look. And then with the Hopeless Peaches drama, he had, as a viewer, it came across as him calling her racist. Now, I don't think he did that purposefully at the time about the whole Chinese whispers thing. I think he made a good attempt in good faith to explain where that term came from. But looking back, it's hard to give him the benefit of a doubt anymore. It's hard to look at Kai and hear what he has to say and not think he's doing something with malicious or just willful disregard of doing it. Now, him and Omnia, I had no idea that he and Omnia were actually a thing. I just thought that they were good friends or that he was a simp or something like that. I had no idea that they had shared with their work or that they would work on these together. But it becomes more telling and more blatant with how they like to use the race card, which I get it. I'm Hispanic. I deal with race every day. It's just something that's a part of our lives. But it's something that I don't know how other people feel about this, but it comes off as them being more hair triggered. With Kai, more so because he is just much more smack talk and complaining on his Twitter. And yes, I get it. Even I sometimes complain about being racially profiled on my Tumblr, but it's just something that happens. The thing is, it's not that he is or isn't. It's just that that's what he jumps to accusing and saying. Like, I get all the hate comments that he gets with people saying the N-word. That is not appropriate. That is not a valid criticism. That is just people being hateful. When you have put that on other people that did not do that or are not racist or bigoted, it comes across as something you can just disregard. As a casual viewer, you just disregard that he's dealing with racism because he has a habit of just blowing things out of proportion. So as a casual viewer, you're like, yeah, yada yada yada, you're dealing with that, sorry for that. But then you just keep on viewing and you just put that in the back of your mind and you don't pay attention to that. And it's something that is just so prevalent with Kai. He just really makes that part of what he says, what his identity. He is always complaining that it's because he's black. When, as I don't want to talk much about this, but it's something that I do want to say and to point out that on YouTube, nobody knows your race. Nobody knows what a content creator's race is unless you put it specifically out or that you show your face. There's really no way to tell if somebody is black or if somebody is white or Polynesian or whatever. And it's not something that you have to make and to point out and to just use that to gain clout or to disregard criticisms. It's not something that you can just not do. You can just choose to not put that information out there. And the only reason I am talking about being Hispanic is because I don't want people accusing me of just being heartless and just being a white girl and not knowing my place, because I do deal with racism on a daily basis, in fact. And it's not as big a deal as it's made out to be. Like, yes, I get racially profiled at the Walmart, I get at Logan's, I deal with all this type of things, and it's not something that you can or you have to deal with online. I get being proud of your identity, but if you feel that you are being unfairly harassed and unfairly judged and unfairly working with these problems, it is not something that you actually have to put out there. As a YouTuber that I am very fond of, I believe it is Leon something or other, I'll look him up later. It's not that you're black, it's because your content is not that good. That is just what it is. It is what it is. And the thing with Kai is his content's pretty okay. Like, he is a jerk, yeah, but he makes nice videos. I give it to him for that. He makes great videos that you can just sit through and you can just watch and just turn off your brain and like, yeah, okay, this dude, he's talking, he's got a nice voice. I'll give him that. When he is not making a fool of himself, when he is not being disrespectful and rude, he has a very nice voice. It's very calming. You can just listen to him. But that is before the John Swan thing, and I will get to that at the end of the video because that is the most recent thing that's going on. What else I'd like to talk about is Kai and his behavior with HarleyTBS. Now, HarleyTBS, he is a younger YouTuber. He's like, at the time that I was thinking, he was like 17 maybe? I don't really know his age. I will probably put that in the card or put that in the description. After seeing him with the Hopeless Peaches drama, I kept watching him. I followed him on Twitter, and I don't know what compelled me to follow him because I don't like his takes. I don't like what he tweets. But it's very entertaining to watch, and you just watch it like a train wreck. And as a casual viewer, I see him and his interactions with Harley. And Harley, who he is very... I don't have the words. I do like him. I don't like his content. I felt like Harley has been just... He talks a lot thoughts before he gets to his points, and sometimes that loses me as a viewer, but when he does make his points, they're very well, and I do like to hear them. And this isn't a video about him, but seeing how Kai treated him when he had referred to Harley as Youngblood, and how Harley did not like that, and how Kai was like, oh, don't be tripping, I was just, I'm just doing that as a form of endearment. Listen, there's this thing where people may make mistakes and call somebody a name that they rub the wrong way. Like, have you ever had an older gentleman at a supermarket call a younger person sweetheart or honey or baby girl? You don't like that. We don't like that. I don't like that. You are not somebody to call somebody a baby girl and you don't even know them. That is the same thing. There might not be the sexual harassment that it has with an older gentleman calling like a retail worker baby girl, but you don't call people things that they don't like to be called. That is the end and the short of it. He tried to justify it, and it's a very normal response, trying to justify your actions with that, and it's very minor and little nitpicky of me, but that's just a show of respect. You respect somebody's pronouns, you respect when they don't like being called young blood, you respect when they don't like being called younger, or make it a point to call them like kiddo or something. You just very politely, you note that down, you apologize, and you move on, and hopefully they don't hold a grudge. But after that, there was a bit of radio silence. After the Hopeless Peaches drama and then Prison Make Luke and all of that, he just popped off the face of the earth for me. As a viewer, I had lost interest because from the Hopeless Peaches stuff, I had learned to just disregard what he had to say, especially in time. It was proven that he just was full of crap. And as a casual viewer, if somebody has been proven to not be in good faith or talking in a acceptable manner to me, you just lose me as a viewer, you lose me as an audience. And it's not something that is a one-all and be-all where you lose an audience and they never come back, because let's be real, sometimes you'll stop following a YouTuber and then you'll be like, hey, I wonder what they're doing now, I wonder if they changed, I wonder if they're just up to something, and you go back and you look at them, you give them a few videos, and then you decide, okay, I see what you were doing, I see that you've changed, and I'm gonna start following again and start looking at your content. With Kai Weiss, that is just not something that stood out. He didn't stand out, he was just another voice that was just going blah 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 blah. And then after the Peaches thing, it felt like he was quiet, and I don't know if it was just me not looking for his videos or if he just wasn't posting that much. But what really gets me is recently, as of November 14th, 2021, his recent controversy. And I don't know if it's so much a controversy as him being very rude, very malicious, and it comes off as him using the system to pick on somebody who, yes, Kumu is a despicable troll, he's a jerk, nobody likes his content, but even if Akumu is a jerk, you do not abuse copyright systems. Even as a casual viewer, I know that strikes are a very serious thing and a very serious matter for channels. A copyright system can take down somebody's livelihood, and that is not something to play around with. And with what Kai did is he used it in a malicious way. I don't think he did it because he thought that he had a genuine reason to. He just wanted to strike at somebody, and this was the easiest way to do so. Now, even though I am not a YouTuber as of right now, I think that him abusing the copyright system is something that we should really watch, and we should really put him over the coals. Like, everybody right now is having him get criticized and criticized and criticized, and he says it's harassment. It is not harassment. It is criticism. And I know Spoctor and Jar and Harley have all said this much better and more eloquently than I have, but as a casual viewer, you see somebody and then you tweet it. You tweet out that their actions have lowered your opinions of them. You say that they have crossed the line. Now, of course, nobody deserves to be called the N-word, and nobody deserves the racial stuff. That is genuine harassment. But being told that you fucked up, that you did something stupid, that is the consequences of your actions. And him just running away, deleting his Twitter, deleting his YouTube, just because of all the criticism that he got, as a casual viewer and audience, that lowers your respect. That lowers your opinion of them. You just think less of somebody for that, and then you stop watching, you stop thinking about them. And the thing with being a casual viewer is some are they hold a grudge, and others, we just don't care. We just want to watch entertaining content. And when you take an L and when you admit that you're wrong, even if, say, one doesn't like their content, but when somebody admits when they're wrong, that is more respect, and you are more likely to check on what they're doing and check on their YouTube and give them a watch or even a partial watch. But when you just double down and you don't apologize, or you do that, I think it is worse to do what he did than apologize. The fake apology is worse than not apologizing at all. Because not apologizing at all, you don't have that closure. You don't have that what could have been. You have the I'm sorry, but. It's always that but. It's always I'm sorry, but I felt justified and I didn't do it the right way. That's paraphrasing his tweet. And as a casual viewer, you see that and your respect goes out the window. You don't respect him. You don't have any good feelings about that as a casual viewer. You see somebody say that and you're like, you know what? I thought that you were okay. I didn't like you. I didn't agree with you. But you know what? You were a decent content creator. And then you just lose. You lose me. You lose an audience member. You lose multiple audience members if your tweets and the responses were anything to go by. And I'm nobody. I am just somebody who likes listening to commentary when I am drawing. And losing my respect means nothing for somebody. But it's not just me. Other consumers, other audiences. We see that and then we stop thinking, we stop watching, we stop regarding you, and then that affects your monetary gains, it affects your reputation, it affects many things in this domino effect that is the modern capitalistic YouTube, where we are a commodity, and we are a commodity that does not like being treated poorly. We don't like it when a YouTuber just decides, you know what, screw everybody, I am right, and I'm just doing this little pity thing to appease all of you so I can still make money, because that does not work. That is not a good thing. And let me just say about the John Swan incident, the debate, or what was just Kai talking over John Swan. Now, as somebody with some auditory processing issues, that debate was just painful to listen to. I am talking physically headaches and my eye twitching because it was so terrible. Now, I'm going to link in the description a HarleyTBS video because I feel like he covered it much better, but I just wanted to talk about that in specifics because with the interview, John Swan, now I don't like him, I don't watch his content, I don't even care about the Dreamland, it's just I don't like it. But he put out some excellent points. He had brought out excellent documents about a precedent, a higher court, a hearing and a court case about copyrights, and that was incredibly important. It is incredibly relevant to the situation with Kai Weiss and his copyright strike down. But his behavior was unacceptable. Unacceptable as a content creator, unacceptable as a person, unacceptable in any regards to what he did. The behavior that he did, he was incredibly rude, incredibly disingenuous of what the debate was supposed to be. Now, I am not somebody who gets into politics. I am not somebody who really talking at all or talking to people. But when you talk to somebody, you give them a back and forth. You say something, you wait for their response, you respond to their response, and you go and have a back and forth. With Kai, he was just talking over John Swan. Incredibly rude. And he just kept at it to the point where I don't think if you have auditory processing issues, I don't think you could watch the stream without having a mental breakdown. And I say that as somebody who had to lie down a little bit afterwards. It is just so difficult to listen and to hear him talk. And I don't know how much I can drill this in to where it is very difficult to hear what anybody is saying when he is just going and repeating how John's quacking, and it's incredibly disrespectful. It's disrespectful to him, and it's disrespectful to people just wanting to listen to what he has to say. When John was reading the case interview, Kai did not want him to read him the document. He just said, explain it to me, and then didn't let John have any time to explain without being interrupted repeatedly and repeatedly. That's something that I think was a very important thing to pick up. Now, I get not being taken out of context and how reading that document should have been something, at the very least, a thing that Kai should have shut up and sat his ass down and listened to. Listening to that document was incredibly relevant. It was something that he should have listened to and he should have chewed on and digested and gotten all the juicy nutrition and put into his body. It is something that he should have taken serious. And see him just blabber on and on, not take anything seriously, to the point where John snapped at him. You could say that was very unprofessional as a casual viewer, but I'm sure we have all dealt with people who have tried to talk over us, people who tried our patience, and that we just reach our point and tell them to shut the F up. That is just something that happens. And I am surprised he did not reach that point sooner with how Kai was acting. And it feels like he should have really stopped and listened and tried to have a decent conversation. I don't think he really wanted to have a conversation. I don't think he wanted to prove himself right and prove himself the victor. I just think he wanted to make John look bad because that is what his actions spoke of. That is pretty much what I only got from all his noise. That he was just going, oh, look, he's quacking, look, he's quacking. That just, there are no words. And as somebody who really likes the commentary community and seeing everybody make their videos, it's very rude. I am not the most eloquent speaker. I don't speak a lot. This is probably the most amount of time I've ever talked to anything or anybody without being interrupted or at all, and my throat's a little dry. I just thought that it was important as a casual viewer how he comes across. He comes across as somebody who is rude, somebody who expects expectations on others more than he does himself, and just wants to do what he wants without any consequences. He acts as somebody who is entitled to having his voice heard, and that he alone should dictate what is and what is not okay, and that those rules should bend when it is him involved instead of others. As a casual viewer, you can't really like him. I'm sure he has his fans and his defenders, but overall, I would think that the community itself would think of him poorly now more than ever. And it's something that is very sad to see a content creator that maybe you don't like, maybe you don't even respect that much, but to see him just go down in that blaze of garbage trash that was the debate, to see his behavior go from infantile to rude, I just don't have any words. A word more than rude. Rude premium. I just can't believe how absolutely disrespectful he was to everyone's time. Particularly, and this is something that just strikes to me now, about the stream. How he did not go into the stream prepared, he did not watch the stream or listen to anything prior when he acknowledged and got onto and agreed to the stream. Now, as somebody who you would have some basic understanding of what was going on and what's going up, and he just didn't. He proved that he could not be given a damn, that he was just a troll. He bashes and talks down to Akumu about being a troll, but in reality, he is the troll. He's proven that he is somebody that you just don't respect. Don't respect, you don't pity, you just watch and you feel sad about it. You feel sad how he goes from somebody who has some valid points. He had some. It's just sad. You can tell I am not much of a YouTuber. I am probably going to scrub this down and make it very short because I have already been talking for about 32 minutes already and it's just way too long. I like to leave this train wreck itself of a video and talk about this quote from Simon Elkelis, I believe, that opinions are like butts. Everybody's got one, and everybody thinks everyone else's stinks. And this video has just been my thoughts, my ramblings, and what, as an audience, I see when I see Kai Weiss. I see somebody who is very full of themselves and expects the world and YouTube to cater to them. So I thank you, and indeed you got this far, and I strive to do better in the future because maybe this will be the last of me you hear, maybe not. But I guess that's for another time. Thank you for listening, and goodbye.